Jeff, at least they get your good stuff. Technology.
Do I hit start video or do you do that?
There you go.
You're all set.
All set. Okay. Good evening, everybody. This is Board of Fire Commissioners meeting, January 11th, 2024, Thursday evening. If we all could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence, please, for all of our departed members of the service. Thank you.
Amen.
Okay. Attendance, okay. Approval of prior meeting minutes, December 12th, December 14th, and December 20th.
I'll make a motion
The
that we
12th
approve
was a
all.
special meeting, and the 14th was a special meeting.
No,
The 12th,
but the 14th was our regular.
14th was the regular meeting, the 12th and the 20th were special meetings.
Right.
I got a motion on that.
Motion to approve.
I will second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Public participation for the first time, if anyone would like to speak. I asked that if you guys could please state your name. So it's easier when we're doing the minutes, just if you can say your name, that'd be great. Thank you. Anybody have anything they want to talk about for the first time?
Say that.
Anybody online, Sherry? Nobody? If you're online and you'd like to participate, just raise your hand and we'll get to you. Nobody? Okay, so we're gonna close public participation for the first time. Communications, monthly reports.
Monthly reports. I have reports from Chief Jeff Tromer for the month of December 2023. I also have the activities for the fire chiefs. I have a report from Deputy Chief Regina on the training and progress history. On the second page, I would like to recognize a couple of individuals with their certifications in December, I'm assuming, of 2023 for firefighter one class, firefighters Greg Jacobs, firefighter Samuel Martincheck, and firefighter Zachary Blanchard. Congratulations to all three of these individuals on obtaining the firefighter one class.
Also like to congratulate Jay Lapierre for his appointment to the promotion to the
I think that's coming up.
That's coming up.
Oh, I thought that was
No.
underneath it. My apologies.
That's okay. That's okay. Let me finish my report.
Okay, I thought that was, I was gonna miss.
No, that was actually, it was out of order because Deputy Chief Regina's new event history was before that, so I just had asked him a question. For the month of December, it was rather slow, but still, 42.8 hours for all of the individuals that were involved, you had 682 man hours, 0.46. So that's a tremendous amount, even though it's December is generally a slow month. And now I will get to,
So just
Yeah.
on that note, that is just non-fire.
Correct.
calls. Is that number?
is that number. And now I will get to Deputy Chief Craig Stegmeyer in recognizing and congratulating. I would like to congratulate Jay Lapierre on his appointment to Staff Lieutenant for the Personnel Division. So I know that Assistant Chief Lapierre will take Jay under his wing and make sure he gets the job done. So my hat's off to Jay for stepping to the plate, and obviously, the command staff sees something in Jay that will certainly help this department. So congratulations to him.
Well deserved.
That's it for reports.
Okay,
To
motion,
accept reports.
second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, communications all set. Ledger status, Commissioner status.
I reviewed the ledger status and find no issues. Glad to see the 20,000 is back in part-time. So I'll make a motion, we accept the ledger status as presented.
I will second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, old business, radio system update, Chief Trummer.
So the radio system is still in a stall pattern. We're still waiting on the firmware issue to be resolved with Motorola. Actually, Scott Wright, who is in charge of the state radio system, actually went down to Chicago to Motorola headquarters this past weekend. It was basically going down there to find out what's going on, because there's multi-million dollars, not just in the town of Newington, just throughout the state of Connecticut, that's being held up because of this firmware issue. What's happened with this firmware, I think I said in the last meeting, what would end up happening is you turn the radio on, it could be a day, it could be a week, it could be a month, and then the radio would just brick itself. Inoperable, wouldn't be able to be used, which is a safety issue for anybody that's using that radio.
Yeah.
So they actually had a release. It came out as 31.02, I believe it was. Motorola already pulled that back and said that no one is able to put it in their radios going forward. They're now going into what we call firmware 32.0. As soon as that gets cleared, which we're hoping is any day now, we can move forward again. What they're doing in the meantime and what we've requested is any of the stuff that can get done ahead of the installs to start doing that. So today they walked around all the firehouses to see where they're gonna put the antennas, the control stations and so forth for all the firehouses. They did that throughout the entire town, parks, highway, EMS. So we're moving in a very slow motion right now. It's not anybody's fault, but right now it's in Motorola's hands. And I wish I had a better update, but supposedly they're still holding an April deadline date to be completely operational and online, but we'll see.
So what I'm curious is, because this system's, it's not new to the service, it's been,
So it's got,
how did this come about?
so what ends up happening is Motorola releases a radio, and in that radio, there's a specific firmware.
Mhm.
Just like your cell phones,
Right.
there's a specific iOS on it, we'll say. If the firmware doesn't communicate with the server, and it's just not here in Connecticut, this is countrywide. This isn't just here. This is everywhere. So Motorola is not only holding up just the state, our state, they're holding up other states. So it's a huge deal.
Wow.
So I'm really surprised they haven't really.
And this is
spearheaded
with
it.
one specific type of radio.
No, it's all radios. Any firmware that goes into that new radio. When they issue a new radio, that's the firmware that goes into it.
Right,
It's like programming it.
right.
And what's happening right now is it's just causing major problems.
Wow.
So now what we're trying to do is see if we can go backwards, which means see if we can get the firmware that was working prior to these updates.
Right,
But what that ends up happening is now they physically have to touch every single radio. And someone manually has to go in there and do each radio one by one,
right.
which is a
Okay.
very time sensitive thing. It's not something you can just do pop and
Right,
do all of them at one time.
Right.
So cross our fingers, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll move in the right direction again.
Good. Grant update. I know Chief Lapierre's with a task force meeting tonight.
So I'll give an update on the grant. We actually are still waiting on a turn down letter for AFG, which we still haven't gotten yet, which is odd in itself, but the safer grant, obviously the sign out front is about halfway. They're gonna start installing some panels tomorrow, and hopefully next week, the full install will be complete and we'll be operational with that. We also got the Heroes Grant through, I believe it's WFSB. We're waiting on those funds to come in. That was for helmets and boots. We secured, I believe it was $4,800 roughly. But any money is better money for
Sure.
us in the town.
Absolutely.
So we did go for that, and we're actually looking to see what type of funding is available for the new AFG. That opens up in a couple weeks. As soon as that notice comes out, we're gonna look at high priority things and try to put another grant in.
Good.
But that notice of funding has not been put out yet, so we're still waiting on it.
Excellent. Chief Regina, updates, tablets, transition Alpine software for department.
We're pretty close to having all the tablets. We're still short a couple. We're still short a couple of workstations from IT. They have been in doing some work. There's been some communication back and forth with the chief and IT regarding getting some work done that we were promised. Right now, we're comfortable. We have a pretty stable platform right now. There are some little tweaks that we're doing with the devices, the MDTs. On the side of the Red NMX side, Martin Ball and I have been working together with, he attended the first meeting Monday with me and with Alpine regarding some things we need to get the GMP set up. We ran some reports. They're configuring some new reports for us so we can automate it. It'll just be a run report based on the time frame and generate the report. So they're working on that. And there's some other little things that we're doing at this point. We did some things for the fire marshal's office regarding like a letter that we sent out. They're working on a letter that if there are no violations, you know, the old firehouse used to have a letter that said, you know, we've completed your thing and there's no violations. They don't have that in the system, so they're building that for us now. So things like that. But overall, I think we've been pretty stable. We have one kiosk at Company 3 that's giving us a little trouble. We're gonna send me a new one and then we'll replace it, send them back the other. Waiting to hear when that's gonna happen. At the time, chief, it's hours of time, just keep going on the stuff and move on to the other stuff, because the inventories have started. Lieutenant Carlone's working on a work order process. Lieutenant Muir is also doing one for the apparatus. So more and more hands and fingers are getting involved in this software.
Excellent.
So, Chief, what would you say, maybe 20, 25 people, bro?
Yeah, at least.
But eventually it'll be a one-stop shop.
It's not, every little piece is a little different. And we find these little quirky things here and there, but we work through them and Alpine's been real receptive.
And that's great that the company's helping us
Yeah,
out too.
no,
I
absolutely.
keep hearing stories from some of the towns that bought into ESO and some of the features and functions that they were promised by them don't work.
This is the other software,
It's the company that bought out Firehouse.
the company that bought out Firehouse that we used to have.
Right, Firehouse is gone. It's not even part of that other product. And so things that they said like station activity and things and stuff, you know, no, doesn't exist. And even though that they were sold on that or other functions in that other system. So we made a good decision and it was the right decision. So,
Excellent,
I
excellent.
did bring up with them again, they're gonna start addressing it as the regionalization of the software with their task force towns. Task force towns are very agreed to go with it. It's about a $5,000 to $6,000 piece that we would add. But if we respond to Weathersfield or Rocky Hill, we'll see their hydrants, we'll see our calls. If they assign us a call, we'll have their street addresses. So we're gonna start that activity in the coming year.
Awesome.
That's great. That's
It was a great decision.
Excellent.
Autism fundraising. Chief,
No change since last.
no change.
Yeah.
Deputy chief's positions, last night, we had the, written examination for 4 candidates. It's an ongoing process, and, next week we'll be having an oral board with that, and hopefully by mid next week, we'll have some movement on it.
Okay.
So. Anything else, chief, on the deputy chief's appointments? Everything's going good still upstairs, and
Yeah, I know.
I'd like to thank, I'd like to personally thank the members that have stepped up in the absence of,
Our deputy chief.
our deputy chief, Austin Muir and,
Actually, it's Austin, Roman.
Austin and Roman.
Joe.
and Joe.
They've all stepped up.
Thank you,
Austin especially. He's
Yeah.
doing a fantastic-
thank you very much for doing that. All right.
Can I raise one issue under old business?
If, the
Sure.
other commissioner doesn't
Sure.
mind, absolutely.
Under old business, one of the things that I was thinking about, and I just thought about it this afternoon, where do we sit with this company that was supposed to do, our
The
collections?
fee schedule, the paperwork somehow got mixed up. We're in the midst of, I'm trying to work with the company to get it all back in order. I'll hopefully have an answer for you by next month at the latest.
Okay,
That's, I don't know where it got mixed up,
Yeah,
but
mixed up.
somehow it did,
okay,
but we'll get it straightened out.
perfect.
Another item under old business that we didn't include is the commissioner's handbook that we're
Oh, that's,
we're gonna
yes.
start working on.
Yes.
Keith Chapman started a commissioner's handbook, which has, there's a lot to it, but we're gonna review that and add stuff to it and put it out so that any future commissioner will have a guide to go by what's required, what we can and can't do.
Yep.
So,
Great, thank you. Okay, moving on.
all set.
New business approval of the 24-25 budget. I know the chiefs worked very, very hard to bring in a reasonable, sustainable budget for 24-25, and they did a great job. But tonight, we need an approval so that that can be sent over to the town hall, and they can scrutinize it, and then we can go fight for what we need, and
I'll make a motion.
Can I just
Yeah, go
discuss
ahead.
something under that?
yes,
Just in this budget discussions, I wanted to, the operating and the CIP are not the only things that we need to look at, I'll put it that way. We need to look at replacement of apparatus, making sure the funds are available in that. Because with the build times of 3 to 4 years, we really have to look at working with the finance department, working with the town to try to figure out how we're gonna do this.
right,
Is that in the equipment reserve?
It is in the equipment reserve, but, the problem is that we have 2 pieces of apparatus that are due to be replaced. If you go on a 20-year replacement schedule, TAC 2 and truck 1 are supposed to be replaced in 2026. If you off a 3-year build time, I'm already behind the 8 ball. So we really need to really work with the town to figure out
Right.
financially how we're going to do this. We have 5 pieces of apparatus within the next 5 years that are due to be replaced. But again, with these build times, we have to be somehow figure out
Right.
how we're gonna do this, because the hard part is you have to do a purchase order for something that's not gonna be built for 3 years, which means that the funds have to be available, but yet we're not gonna have that vehicle for 3 years. A prime example is engine 2.
Right.
Engine 2 was purchased, we won't see that truck until 2025. So, and it's not just Pierce, it's Sutphen, it's every manufacturer that's out there right now. And the other part that we have to be very careful of is the increases are anywhere from 10 to 12% on an average across the board for vehicles
per year.
Per year.
per year.
Right.
So what you used to see 3 to 5%, now it's 10 to 12%.
Right.
Those are tremendous numbers when you start looking at budget numbers.
Right.
The other thing that we really need to talk to the town about in the finance department is our buildings. We've been installed factor for 8 years now. We've brought it to their attention multiple times, and yet we're nowhere near where we need to be. Chapman Street, there's money in there for the demolition. In my opinion now, let's reconsider that. Let's renovate the building. We could use it as cold storage, put a new roof on it, start putting some money into it. Maybe that would be a feasible thing to help us at least get through a couple of years to try to help offset some of the costs.
I agree.
We just need to start looking at these things a lot more, and we need to push a little bit harder. Because the firehouses, 3s and 4s have been there forever. And it's been a discussion and just keeps getting pushed down the road.
You're right.
Well, we're at that point, we can't do it anymore.
Force can't get, at least, force can't get pushed down the road and,
It's just, we really, and I understand that the town is in financial, issues, I get it. But we have to have firehouses that fit our apparatus.
correct.
And have storage for these, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we can't leave stuff on the
No,
outside.
no, absolutely not.
And I'm not saying that everything has to happen tomorrow, but we have to think about what's gonna be the best option for us. Is it to go out and fund it? Is it bond it? However we need to do it, we need to really start looking at stuff like that.
Well, I know, we all sat down about a year ago and we did our priority list that the town council wanted. And we did submit it to the town council, our priority list.
Absolutely.
It just seems like
Needs to be done again.
Yeah.
needs to be done again, so.
Commissioner, included in that, we started this by asking for funds just to do studies. And that never got done.
Right,
So you don't even have anything to start with to say, that, yeah, that's a good idea, it's not feasible. So we're stuck. until something
And that's
We are
partly problem of the permanent building committee.
correct.
happens. Correct.
Well, that's the other part. From what I'm hearing is that's still not 100% yet. I still think they're looking for a couple more members. I believe they need 5, I believe they have 3. So that's holding a lot of projects up in town also is
Right.
that. But I was just talking to a fireman from Bristol today, one of our guys, Don Parole. They're building a new firehouse, it's $9 million.
Yeah.
That's a 2-bay firehouse.
Yeah.
Nothing spectacular,
Yeah.
$8.9 million. Just food for thought. I'm just, we need to be serious and really try
I
to
agree.
come up with a solution
I agree.
going forward, especially with the 5 vehicles also. We just have to be creative in funding and how we do it, that's all.
Yeah.
And I just want the town to be aware of everything.
So this is all stuff we've got to bring up when we meet with the town council about budget and CIP, but above and beyond that.
That's correct. And I just wanted to be out there as we're talking about budgets.
That ought to be something that goes into old business next,
Sure.
as we go forward.
Yep.
I don't
I
want us to go in and have them blindsided that we're not, this way we
Right.
put it all out as a.
No, it's not,
as a
it's
package.
no secret that we've been, at least my whole, go even way back on you, that we've been asking for this for many, many years.
Yes.
Station 4 was built in the 50s. The next truck won't be able to fit in it. Our spare truck won't be able to fit in it.
No.
So something definitely has to be done. We have to come up with some creative ways to make it happen and
Well,
find the money and
one of-
get it going.
one of the first things that I would obviously like to see then is that we approach the town council and get a commitment from them to do the renovations at Company 3. If
Old
funds,
Company 3.
Old Company 3,
Right.
if funds are available, let's utilize that. So we can have a usable storage for the time being.
At one point, did talk about doing that building because we were trying to figure out the best solutions for us. And actually, Council Rada was one of them that wanted to save that building, and I actually agree with her. We just unfortunately said, hey, let's tear it down because we had really no other options. We were gonna try to build a Butler building in back of threes. But if we can save that building and still just put minimal amount of money into it to get it at least a cold storage or heat, whatever it may be, let's just get a number that we can work with and try to move it forward.
I thought I heard that there was money in this budget for. a
There
furnace.
is,
There
there's
is.
160, I believe, 165,000 for the demolition.
I believe there's 165.
And I think there's also
170,000.
some money in another fund for roofing or,
So John approached me from facilities and said, hey, do you have any firehouses that have the ability that need a roof? Well, all of our roofs have been done recently. So I said, but the only roof that really needs to be done is Chapman Street. And he said he was gonna look into that and try to see if he could put the funds towards that. But again, we have to decide if that's what the town wants to do, is keep that facility and put money
Right.
into it and fund the whole project, because you
Yeah.
can't do it piecemeal.
well, I gotta say,
Okay.
Station 5, when that was given to the town for the sign shop, and then we took it back. That's turned into a gem, Station 5, and that was just as bad.
Yeah, we put a
And
lot
look
of
how
money into
beautiful
it.
that building is, so.
Yeah, we put money into it and it looks
Put
good.
money into it, we fixed it up, and with a lot of, I know, I watched the town council meeting and they talk about the historic district on that end of the town. I think, if we throw some money into that building, it is a historic building. It was one of our original firehouses and 100 years ago. I think it would be a added gem to the end of that town, so
I agree.
see what we can do about getting some funds and getting that thing cleaned up, and
I'd like to be able to keep it.
yeah, definitely. All right. So can we get a
I'll
motion
make a
for the,
motion, we approve the budget as presented by the chief staff.
okay, for the 24-25 budget? Second,
I will second that.
all in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Aye, unanimous, thank you. Okay, great. Moving on, item number 11, public participation for the second time. Anybody like to speak? Counselor Rada.
Being new to this, I don't know if I'm allowed to speak.
Yeah.
Absolutely, speak
To the
freely.
boards and commissions.
I just,
or not.
for the record, it's Counselor Kim Rada, Deputy Mayor Kim Rada.
I just a couple of questions, that I have, and a request. The last time I was anywhere close to, Chapman Street building was,
She's not gonna date herself.
Yeah, right.
when Chief Regina and I were training there,
Couple of years ago.
couple years, a few years ago. Yeah, I have been a proponent of wanting to maintain that building. It is, and, if you're interested, we were provided with a presentation about historic district and historic buildings and area, quite a bit of it in the West Hill area. So you're absolutely right that, I see this and I think we might be able to look at that as an historic. If it's possible, there probably are other counselors who would like to get a peek, at least on the inside as well as the outside of the building.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We will,
Do that?
can make it happen, no problem.
Okay, I'll bring it back,
Counselor, on that, we'd also like to actually have you tour all of our facilities at one point.
Yeah.
We're trying to get that. We're trying to get
So this
that.
way you can see all of our buildings and see what we're, encountering in all of our buildings. Gives you a better view.
and I know we've talked about this and all of us, including, Mayor John have said that we're all very interested and we want to do it. So we'll figure out a way to make that happen, whether we do it in groups or all together, whatever we do, everybody would like to have
Absolutely.
that opportunity. I know, Company 4, I've talked to folks over time who are very concerned. And we've talked about the size, the lack of additional space that is really needed over there. So I would encourage these conversations to continue, to move forward with the council. You mentioned a priority list. I don't remember which one mentioned it.
I did.
If that's available, I may have it somewhere in some pie. If it was presented to the council over the past couple of years, I may have it in
Can
a
we
file
send it to you?
somewhere. But if you could get that to us, I think that would be really helpful.
Absolutely.
Anything else that you can provide for us, I think would be beneficial.
So what we're gonna do is, we've talked amongst the chiefs, we're gonna do a presentation of the department in general.
Okay.
So at least the new council gets to know us, what we do, each one of our divisions, our apparatus, our equipment, so forth. So you'll at least see the whole picture of us. That way you get a better understanding of it.
Okay, that's great. I appreciate that. And I know the rest of the council and mayor too.
Great. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Rada.
It doesn't matter, John wants to go ahead. Go.
John Montano, Company One. On the thing with the counselors with the firehouses, I know you have to do a Zoom. Can you plug into the LAN at any firehouse and still do the Zoom? And then you can have the personnel or.
The meetings at the
You
firehouses,
used
Johnny?
to be at the firehouses.
Right,
And then you do a little.
we can, but, the way that the year is set up, so we have to set up
So
our,
you already planned the dates.
and it's for, technically for this room. So if we wanted to go to twos for, say, the February meeting, we'd have to cancel a meeting, make a special meeting
But
at
in the
twos.
future, for next year, if you can do it,
The reason why we didn't do it is because not every firehouse had Wi-Fi.
that's what I'm saying.
Right, now we're coming online with everybody having Wi-Fi. So now the possibility is there that we can do it
Yeah, I
again.
know, do little videos of each firehouse before the actual meeting starts. Run a 15-minute video, this firehouse, could be 3 and.
Right, that's a good idea. That's a great idea. Great idea. Thank you, John.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too, John. Chief Regina.
Commissioner, just a couple notes regarding my monthly report. First one is, Commissioner DeMayo brought up a couple of people that certified, but what Chief Stegmeyer and Chief Trommer and I talked about also was the amount of firefighters this time around who jumped on taking classes. If you look at the numbers, a lot of those same firefighters that got their Fire 1 have signed up for Fire 2. We have members going to instructor classes, we have members going to officer classes. The list really grew this time around, so kudos to all those members for taking that next step and going into it. Because it's not required, but it's that we're seeing that in the report.
Right.
The other thing is that, Commissioner, you got to see, I don't want to call it a toy, because it's not a toy.
I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah, so we have a new training product that came in. It's a simulator that allows us to do a digital fire with a training hose, ties into our smoke machines. It's wireless. Control is done through a wireless network. The hose is weighted to simulate a heavy hose, with water in it, but it also has a compressor, so you can charge the line so that it straightens out, stiffens up, so it feels like it's got a TFT nozzle on the end, adjustable. When you adjust it, the laser pattern changes just like you would with water, based on what you're doing for the fire and type of fire. It will go out, reignite. There's a bunch of things that will happen to it. And you can add more panels to this. So we have the ability now to do some in-house training with it, literally in a room like this. We can do cadets, we can do new firefighters. We can bring it out to the tower because it can get wet. We can have a second fire going in, and as I mentioned, and I talked to Chief Trimer about this, we'd like to invite the council out, and we can actually do something even in this room, once we do a quick train the trainers with it, for ourselves to be comfortable with it. We can have gear here for them. we could do a little show and tell with this new device, so they can see what it's like to be in the fire. And then, walk out the door and go, wow.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so, until I saw it today, I'm like, and then when I saw it today, I was just blown away. I was absolutely blown away by what this thing is. And been around for a long time. And it is cool, and it is well worth every penny that we paid for it. Because like you said, we can put a cadet in here, and it's a controlled environment, and we could have a cadet put out a fire. We could have a town councilor come in here and put some gear on them and have them literally see what it's like to put out a fire without exposing them to a real fire situation. And, Kudos to the training department. You guys have, and I know I've said it many times, but you have brought this department leaps and bounds from where we've been under the direction of Chief Regina and Captain Machado. You guys have brought this department leaps and bounds from where we were.
Don't forget
And the chief.
Yes, last of all.
But you guys know you run the department, so you know what I'm saying. And this stuff is cool, and I think it's gonna be well received by the guys. I can't wait to try it.
So after the meeting, commissioners, please come upstairs. I'll pull it out in the hallway.
Yeah,
I definitely want to see this in
it's cool
action.
stuff.
We're gonna set it up probably this weekend here, and then I don't wanna say play, because
Yeah,
it's just going through it, realizing that it's actually connected by cables and Wi-Fi.
This is like virtual reality on steroids. It really is.
Well, that's the biggest thing in the fire service now is virtual reality.
Yeah.
Because of the junior firefighters, the regular cadets, virtual reality is a big thing out there now. That they're actually, even paid firemen are actually doing virtual reality at the firehouses with goggles and the cameras on their faces. That's the new technology that's out there now.
Yeah.
It's-
Who would have thunk it back 40 years
yeah,
ago,
no kidding,
right?
no kidding.
Didn't even have scout backs,
Rubber boots.
rubber boots. Yeah, kudos, guys.
Thank you.
Any more public comment? Anybody online? Commissioners' remarks.
Commissioners' remarks.
Commissioner Stoddard.
To begin with, I'd like to wish everybody a healthy and happy new year. It's, I think we need to work on being healthy and happy together. I think we've had an interesting year in 23, and I'm hoping for a better year in 24. I'd also like to say that I give a lot of credit to all the different departments in the fire department, because everybody is really stepping up. I mean, from personnel to training to grants to everything. We're really moving forward and making this even better than I thought it was.
Sure.
So kudos to everybody. I really think you're doing a great job.
Commissioner.
Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year.
I'm gonna steal a couple of words from Commissioner Stoddard. I think I've said this more than once. It just amazes me as to what this department does on a daily basis. And with the command staff that we have, I know that this department has grown in leaps and bounds, even in this last 2-year period that I've been here as a commissioner. And I pay an awful lot of attention to what goes on around me. And I listen to the radios. I watch the guys and the ladies, and it just astounds me each and every day as to some of the things that this department does. And I know that, we've made some unbelievable strides. And I certainly see that 2024 will be a lot better than 2023. And with a new town council, I'm confident that the fire department will be sitting down with them And I'm sure that we can come to some sort of agreements that we need to get this department what it really, really needs and desires, more so than, because it's nice to have, there are things that we really need to have. So this is what I'm gonna be looking forward to working with the council with. So let's have a great 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. A couple of remarks that I have is also Happy New Year to everybody, and let's hope we have a great year 24, and let's hope the door gets knocked on many, many times with new members coming in here. One thing I wanted to say is, we always talk about calls and runs and blah, blah, blah. Yesterday, I counted up how many runs we did for one day yesterday, and we did 14 fire calls just yesterday. It was 14 times those tones went off that members of this department had to leave their families, had to leave their jobs, had to leave birthday parties, whatever they had to leave. 14 times yesterday, those tones went off because of the storm that we had Tuesday evening. And the aftermath of the storm with cellar pump outs and fire alarms and roof leaks and whatever else we go to. And that's a lot for one day, 14 calls for a totally 100% volunteer fire department. I had to call my son tonight. I was talking to my son. He's a fireman in Myrtle Beach. And I had to give him the business because we did more calls than 3 of their companies in Myrtle Beach because they put their run survey out for year 2023. Also, I got a text just after New Year's, somebody put up, and everybody from the state was putting how many runs they had. And we're like in the top third of the state for runs in the state of Connecticut for a volunteer fire. There's paid departments that didn't have as many runs as we did. And every year, Chief, as you know, you give us that report, our call volume just growing and growing and growing and growing and growing.
Last year, we were at 847, I believe it was. The year before, we were at 760. So we went up almost 80 in the next from the year before. It's been busy, and it's
Yeah.
getting busier.
And I have a funny feeling that with 2,500 to 3,000 new apartments in town,
Yeah.
it's gonna get even busier.
With the hotel gets done and all those hot places.
We have hotel coming in, we have all these apartments coming in, and
Yeah.
you know what? But I have absolute 100% confidence in the staff of this fire department that we will step up to the challenge, and there's nothing that we can't do in here. Being led by our illustrious Chief Jeff Traumer. He had a great teacher with his dad, Jim Traumer, who was our chief, and like I said, like I said before, this is a family, and I never end my meetings without thanking the family of the Newington Fire Department. So with that said, if anybody,
I have one more comment.
yes, sir.
I'm not bragging, but I've been a member of a lot of commissions. And I think we are where we are today with the command staff and the department we have because of the support from the commission to the command staff and
Absolutely.
working together.
Absolutely. They can get things
No doubt.
done.
Yep.
No
Absolutely.
doubt, no doubt.
No doubt in my mind.
I'd also like to echo that it's the council and the mayor that actually supports the department too. That
Sure.
pushes us in the right
Sure.
direction.
Yeah.
No
it's-
matter what their affiliation.
You're right, you're right. And you know what? There's Rs and Ds sitting at this table, and there's an R on my left and a D on my right. And I couldn't be more proud to work with 2 individuals that we have our
And a
squabbles.
Conservative in the middle.
We have our squabbles. But we all know what's right for the town, and like I tell people, you may not like my decision because it's gonna cost a few bucks, but you know what? My number 1 priority when I go to bed every night, and I think I've told this to you, Deputy Mayor Rada, I have to worry about 32,000 people in this town. But more, I have to worry about 110 firemen to go home every single night safe before I can close my eyes. And these two gentlemen and our command staff think about that all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
With that said, I'll
Motion to
ask for a
adjourn.
motion.
I will make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Time for adjournment, 7:45.